States, Nations, and Globalization explained. Every country you know today operates through systems, governments, borders, and people connected by culture and identity.
But what exactly makes a state? And how is it different from a nation? Let's break it down. A state is a political unit that has sovereignty over a territory.
In simple terms, it is an organized community with its own government and the power to rule itself without outside control. For a country to be considered a state, it must have four important elements.
First is people.
People, also called the population, are the individuals living within the state's borders.
They may come from different cultures, religions, and backgrounds.
Some states have very small populations, like Vatican City, while others have millions of citizens like the Philippines.
Second is territory. Territory is the specific geographic area controlled by the state. This includes land, water, and airspace. Territory has different components.
Terrestrial territory refers to the land and natural resources within the state's boundaries. Aerial territory refers to the airspace above the land and water controlled by the state.
Fluvial territory includes rivers, streams, and waterways found within the territory.
Maritime territory covers seas and oceans connected to the state, including territorial waters and exclusive economic zones.
States can also acquire territory in different ways.
One way is discovery and occupation, where a state claims land that was previously unowned. Another is prescription, where a state gains ownership through long-term control and occupation. Subjugation and annexation happen when territory is taken by force through conquest or colonization. Cession involves transferring territory through treaties or agreements between states. And accretion happens when territory expands naturally or through human effort.
The third element of a state is government.
Government is the system responsible for making laws, enforcing rules, and providing public services.
The fourth and most important element is sovereignty. Sovereignty means a state has the ultimate authority to govern itself without outside interference. There are two types of sovereignty. Internal sovereignty refers to a government's control over its own territory and people. External sovereignty means other countries recognize the state's independence. Now, where did states come from? Different theories explain the origin of states.
The divine origin theory says states were created by God, and rulers were chosen through divine authority.
The force theory claims states were formed through conquest and warfare.
The evolution theory suggests states developed gradually from families to tribes, then communities. And the social contract theory explains that people agreed to give up some freedoms in exchange for protection and order from the state. States also have important functions. They provide governance, security, rule of law, public financial management, infrastructure, citizen engagement, disaster resilience, and many other services needed to maintain society.
Now let's move to the concept of a nation.
A nation is a group of people connected by shared identity, culture, language, history, ethnicity, traditions, or territory.
Unlike a state, a nation is more focused on cultural identity rather than political structure.
Political scientist Benedict Anderson described a nation as an imagined community. This means people in a nation may never personally know each other, but they still feel connected because of shared identity and belonging. Many people confuse nation and state, but they are not exactly the same.
A state is political. A nation is cultural.
For example, Taiwan is considered by many people as a nation because of its shared identity, but its recognition as a sovereign state remains disputed in some parts of the world.
Meanwhile, the Philippines is considered a state because it has all four elements: people, territory, government, and sovereignty. Next, let's talk about nationalism and patriotism.
Nationalism is the belief that one's nation is superior to others and should prioritize its own interests above everything else.
Nationalists often avoid global cooperation because they see international politics as competition between nations.
Patriotism, on the other hand, is simply the love for one's country and culture. Patriots can appreciate their nation without believing it is better than everyone else. They are usually more open to cooperation and global partnerships.
When a nation and a state become united under one political system, it forms a nation-state. A nation-state combines cultural identity and political authority.
Examples of nation-states include Japan and Ireland.
Now let's move to globalization.
Globalization is the process where economies, cultures, and societies around the world become increasingly connected and dependent on each other. The term was popularized by economist Theodore Levitt. Globalization became stronger during the Industrial Revolution because improvements in transportation, communication, and technology made international connections faster and easier. According to the World Health Organization, globalization involves the rapid movement of people, products, services, ideas, and capital across borders.
Globalization has four major forms according to Manfred Steger. The first is economic globalization. This refers to the increasing connection between economies through trade, investments, and international business. For example, the United States became a global superpower partly because of industrialization and large-scale international trade. The second is political globalization. This involves growing political cooperation among countries.
A good example is the creation of the United Nations to help manage conflicts and global issues. The third is cultural globalization. This happens when cultures spread across the world through media, entertainment, and technology. An example is how many Filipinos adapted Korean culture through K-pop, Korean dramas, and social media.
The fourth is ecological globalization.
This focuses on environmental issues that affect the entire world, such as climate change, deforestation, biodiversity loss, and resource scarcity. For example, widespread deforestation happens because of increasing human needs and lack of resources.
Globalization has made the world more connected than ever before.
It creates opportunities for trade, communication, cultural exchange, and cooperation.
But it also brings challenges like environmental problems, cultural changes, and economic inequality.
Understanding states, nations, and globalization helps us better understand how the modern world works and how countries, people, and cultures continue to shape one another every single day.